Yes, Memuna, am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Memuna, before we start with infinite series, some portion of Ohm's law was left. Let us complete that portion.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So that your one complete entire portion is done. So, how much we have done drift velocity
Yes, ma'am. Drift velocity we done.
and relationship between current and drift velocity. This we couldn't do. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let me explain you this. See, Memuna, drift velocity's formula is important. This drift velocity's derivation is also important. But one more thing I'll tell you, see, when you are studying about drift velocity, its entire process when you study, it is all about average thermal velocity and all, correct? That's what we have studied. But you have to understand one thing, the formula of drift velocity, which you have, the entire lengthy derivation that you have, entire lengthy derivation and everything, that is important. It's just that in your second part, which we are doing right now, that is the relation between current and drift velocity. This portion is even more important. Okay. Why is it more important? Because this has a smaller portion. So since this has a smaller portion, so what is happening? In this, you are having a concise derivation. So examiner will try to target you on this rather than asking drift velocity. Drift velocity comes just drift velocity. It is based on how you are doing the derivation and each and every step and everything. That is correct in drift velocity. But in the relationship between current and drift velocity, it is very concise, and that's why examiner prefers to give this mode. Okay, that's why this is very important, though this appears very small. So see, you have a conductor. In the conductor, you have the electrons present and the positive charges are present. And the area of this is A, the area of the cross section. Area of the cross section, do you understand? See, area of the cross section means, suppose I have this wire and I cut it and then I show you this end. That is called as the cross section. If you cut it and then you cut it transversely, that is called as um, the cross section. So area of the cross section is A, the length of the conductor is L, and it is connected to the wire. Okay, so A is the area, L is the length, N is the number density, means number of electrons present in 1 unit volume. Okay, Vd is the drift velocity. So you know speed is equal to distance by time. So we can say time is equal to distance by speed. So if an electron is moving from one end to another end, what can you say? If you are moving from one end to another end, what you can say? The entire length is L. Okay. You can say this entire length is L, means the distance is L. The distance that it takes for the electron to cover, this is L. So distance becomes L. And when we're talking about the speed, we already know that the speed we are talking about is the drift velocity, correct? So we have the drift velocity, we have the length. So time becomes length by drift velocity. Do not write down anything, Memuna. I'll give you sufficient time. You can take as much time as you want, but do not write down anything right now. See, charge is equal to area. See, when we know charge is the electronic charge, that is E, that we already know, the electronic charge is E. Now, if you multiply it, because see, that is for only a particular section, we have the charge as E. We want the charge for the entire wire in which it is moving, for the entire wire. So, charge will be area into length, that is volume. Volume is what? For a cylinder. The area of the circumference, the area of the disc into the entire length. So volume is equal to area into length. So Q is equal to volume into electronic charge. Why? See, volume is equal to area into length. Now, Q is equal to E is just for a single portion. We want the charge for the entire wire. So we have to multiply it with the entire wire so that we get it. Okay, so that we get the entire charge distributed on the wire. So time is equal to length by drift velocity. That was one equation. Now we have the charge. Charge was only electronic charge. But we know that with SIP, by using only electronic charge, we will not be able to get the charge throughout the conductor. So what did we have? What did we do? We actually multiplied it with the entire volume. We multiplied it with the entire volume. So we got the entire charge. Once you have the charge, once you have the time, what you have to do? You have to divide it to get the current. So charge is this. Now one more issue is there. If you have the charge over here, now you want, see, what do you want over here? You want every electron to be included. Okay, one electron distributed throughout the volume, understood that this is equal to ALE. If n number of electrons are present, then what you have to do? You have to multiply 10 times. So that is NLAE. I am repeating. Time is equal to distance by speed. So distance is the length of conductor, speed is the drift velocity. So L by VD. Charge, one single electron is E. We want the electron to be throughout the end of wire. So we have multiplied it with the volume AL, ALE. And since n number of electrons are present, n number of electrons are existing, we have multiplied it to n. Tell me, till here, Memuna, everything is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now you have the charge, now you have the time, you divide them. You will see that here length is getting cancelled. The formula that you have is I is equal to NEAVD. I is the current, N is the number density, E is the electronic charge, that is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19. This is the electronic charge, and A is the area, and VD is the drift velocity. So this is a very important relation. And why is it so much important? And what is its importance and significance for your exam? And what type of questions are asked, that I'll tell you. First you copy it till here, then I'll discuss it. Okay, see, Memuna, one question for you. If you look at this formula, I is equal to NEAVD, can you tell me if I increase the area, will the current increase or decrease?
It will decrease.
If I increase the area, current will decrease. Why?
I don't know.
Then why did you say?
Because I guess I heard it in the class.
Okay, just look at the formula. By looking at the formula, what do you think? Can you see proportionality or something? You don't know how to find out proportionalities, Mamuna, in a formula?
No.
Okay, I'll tell you. See, if you see like, look, I is equal to Q by T. Okay. Now see, if charge is in the same, like charge and current, charge is in the is in the numerator, right? So when this is in the numerator, what do you see? When this is in the numerator, it means it is directly proportional. Okay. So when charge will increase, your current will also increase. Yeah. And see, like you can see here, P is in the denominator. It means it is inversely proportional. So when current will increase, time will decrease. So whatever comes in the denominator, and then if you have to relate, it means they are inversely proportional. Means one will increase, other will decrease. Like here, agar time बढ़ेगा, so current घटेगा. Why? Because see, if time decreases, the overall ratio is going to increase. If I take 10 divided by 5, that is going to give me 2. And if I reduce the denominator, I make it 10 divided by 1. That gives me 10. Means as I'm decreasing the denominator, I am getting the increment value, right?
Yes.
So basically this occurs. Like here, if I have current is equal to 10 by 5, I am getting answer as 2 amperes. Let me reduce it. If I make it 10 by 1, I am getting it as 10 amperes. See, if I reduce it so much, I am getting the increment so much because current and time, they are inversely proportional. So this is what is proportionality, how you have to figure out proportionality whenever you have the formula. Now you tell me, by looking at the formula, if you look at current and area, do you think they are directly proportional or inversely proportional?
Directly proportional.
Directly. So if they are directly proportional, then when current increases, area should increase.
Yes.
Right? Now there is just one exception. That's why this whole thing I wanted to discuss with you. Because if you remember, and if anybody remembers by the logic, and if you go by the logic and everything, you will remember this as that when area will increase, current will decrease. That's it. And your answer will be wrong. In this case, this is the only exception which you have to remember. See, in current, what happens is that even if the area is wide and it becomes wider and it keeps on increasing, if 5 amperes had entered earlier, then 5 amperes will only leave. Whether you increase the diameter, you make it wider, and you make this one edge from where the charges have to exist very, very huge. If only 5 amperes of current had entered the circuit, only 5 amperes is going to leave. That is why current is independent of the area. Though from the formula, mathematically, it appears that current is directly proportional to area. That as the area is increasing, the current also should increase. But the logic behind is that, I'll show you this. See, the logic behind is that whatever current has entered, exactly amount of current will leave. That's why even when the area increases, the current remains same. So current is independent of area of cross section. And here I is but if you look at the formula, in this formula, I is equal to NEAVD. This part also you can write later. Let me tell you. So if I write what is VD, I will be able to write NEA divided, or I'll be able to write, if I say I is equal to NEA VD. If I say I divided by VD is equal to NEA, now from here if you figure out, area and drift velocity are inversely proportional. But this is true, there is no exception in this. Look, when area is more, drift velocity is less. If A2 is greater than A1, then drift velocity 1 will be greater than drift velocity. So this is the logic here. You just write down this part, this proportionality part in your own words first, this portion, and this one, then I'll show you this note part, that also you can write. Then we'll start with Ohm's law.
Okay.
Okay, then let's start with Ohm's law now. Now, see, in Ohm's law, basically it introduces us to the concept of resistance. Resistance, from the term only, you should understand what is meant by resistance. Resistance means you are resisting to something. That is, you are opposing to something. That is what is meant by resistance. So, basically, here in Ohm's law says that when the temperature and pressure remain the same, current through a conductor, this is directly proportional to potential difference across the. Okay, so at constant temperature and pressure, current is directly proportional to the potential difference across them. Means you can say V is directly proportional to I, and the constant here that you get, V is directly proportional to I. This constant, you replace this constant with the actual constant which is given, which is resistance. Now for resistance, we have studied about resistance. You have studied also about resistance is basically the opposition in the movement. See, when electrons are moving, when protons are moving, not protons do not move. When electrons are moving, they will feel a little opposition in the movement. That is what is meant by this. They'll feel a little opposition in the movement. That is what is resistance. Now, this is very important for you to understand that the slope, whenever you have graph, just understand this memuna first, then you can write it. When voltage and current, you're writing it directly proportional. When you say voltage is directly proportional to current, it is V versus I. Okay. In this VI graph, you can see voltage is directly proportional to current. See, a very straight line graph you have. So this slope is directly proportional. So what is the slope? Slope in mathematics or whenever you are calculating in graphs, it is always the slope is tan theta. So tan theta is potential divided by current, which is this constant, the resistance. Okay. So the slope, this is a straight line graph, and for always, for calculating resistance, always you need to find out tan theta. Tan theta will give you the value of resistance when you have VI graph, because it is V divided by I. See, V, if I shift this I here, it will become V is equal to IR. That's why this is very important. Write it till here. Then this question is there that I'll discuss with you. Write this first. Okay, Memuna, just a second. Give me a minute, just a minute.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, Memuna, first try this question. Take your time, try this question. Submit me your answers in the chat column. Then only I'll discuss. First, you try by yourself. This is the graph. This is the question. Okay, let me discuss it then. First part here, not resistivity, resistance. Resistivity and resistance are different. See, this is a I versus V graph, not V versus I graph. Okay, so this is the first issue that arises here, that this is not V versus I, this is I versus V. So for V versus I, you have resistance is equal to simply tan theta. Now, since this is I versus V, so your resistance will be equal to 1 by tan theta. It will be reciprocal. So in the first part, resistance of A will be 1 by tan theta A. That is 1 by tan 30 degree. Tan 30 degree is 1 by root 3. So A becomes 1 by root 3. Root 3 goes up. So RA becomes equal to root 3 ohms. In the second part, RB, this is equal to 1 by tan theta B. So this is equal to 1 by tan 60 degree, 1 by root 3. Okay, so yeah, first part is right. Write it down. Okay, Maimuna, now we'll be starting with infinite series. So your backup is done. Ohm's law till that portion was missing. So every time we had to leave that portion. So this part is done. Now questions practicing. Different types of questions you can get. That practicing you have to do. So see, infinite series means one circuit is connected infinite number of times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Same thing, connected for so much time. Okay. That is what is meant by infinite series. Now there are certain steps you have to identify when you are solving the infinite series. See, like you have 1 ohm here, you have 2 ohms here, then 1 ohm here, 2 ohm here, then 1 ohm here, 2 ohm here. Can you see a pattern? 1 ohm, 2 ohm, 1 ohm, 2 ohm. This is a pattern. So what you have to do, you first have to identify the repeating term. Which term is repeating? Like this term, if you see, this is the repeating term. Okay, this is the repeating term. Then what we can do, if let's assume that whatever is the answer to this infinite series, let's say that is R. Whatever, this is 1 plus 2, 1 plus 2 divided by 1 plus 2, and whatever method it is. Whatever is the final answer of this infinite series, R equivalent for this infinite series. I'm saying that R equivalent is equal to R. So it means, now you tell me, if in this entire infinite thing, if I add 1, can you tell me what is infinity plus 1?
Infinity.
Infinity, exactly. Because if you add 1, such a small number to infinity,
Yeah.
that won't make a difference. So same thing here. If I just add one more repeating term, will my R equivalent be different? No. If so many R equivalents that were 1, 2, 1, 2, that were making this entire series, all these repeating terms, they were infinite times and their answer is R. If I just add one more repeating term, if I just add one more repeating term, so that won't make any difference. My R equivalent will still remain R. Do you agree with this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So add one more repetition term, R equivalent should remain the same. Now it means if I solve this circuit, I know the answer is still equal to R, correct? So if I solve this, it's like this is 1, this is 2, and this is the equivalent resistance for entire infinite R. This is 2 ohms, this is 1. See, these are connected in parallel. So for these two, they are connected in parallel. So R dash will be equal to 2 into R by 2 plus R. That is 2R divided by 2 plus R. Why? Because see, 1 by 2 plus 1 by R. When you take the LCM, it is ultimately 2 plus R by 2 into R. And this is equal to 1 by R equivalent. So for R equivalent, you have to reciprocate it. That is 2R by 2 plus R. So same thing I have done. 2 into R directly also you can do when you don't have to reciprocate. So this we have solved. So we have got this. Now these two are connected in series. If they are connected in series, R equivalent will be 1 plus 2R by 2 plus R. And what is this R equivalent equal to? It is equal to R. So R is equal to 1 plus 2R divided by 2 plus R. Now this is an equation where I have to find out the value of R. So let's cross multiply. First, let us take the LCM here only. This is R. This is 2 plus R plus 2R divided by 2 plus R. Let's cross multiply here. This becomes 2R plus R square plus, no, equal to 2 plus R plus, or no, this is equal to 3R. This is equal to 3R. So we can form an equation here. See, this will be 3R plus 2 is equal to 2 plus R whole square. Correct? If we take R common from here. So when you solve this equation further, this is R square minus R minus 2 is equal to 0. So from here, if you split the middle term, r square minus 2r plus r minus 0 is equal to 0. So this is your splitting the middle term from your class 10th. Splitting the middle term. Okay. Then you have two values, r plus 1, r minus 2. When you equate it to 0, one value is minus 1, one value is 2. So obviously, you know, negative is not possible. So you know the answer is 2. And that was our R equivalent. This was only our R equivalent which we had chosen. This is how, if you get infinite series, this is how you have to start writing. Whatever doubts you have, please ask. Okay, Maimuna, see. In this question, how you have to solve it? Basically, this is a balanced Wheatstone bridge. How do we check whether it's a balanced Wheatstone bridge or not? Balanced Wheatstone bridge. Basically, you check. This is R1, R2, R3, R4. So you have to check whether R1 by R2 is equal to R3 by R4. If you see this condition is being satisfied, then we say it's balanced. And in that case, this galvanometer branch goes off. This galvanometer, this doesn't exist. Galvanometer branch vanishes off. So how does your circuit look like? It simply looks like this. Now it's easy to solve this one. See, these two are connected in series. And these two are connected in series. And their resultant, they both are connected in parallel because here is a branching, here is a branching. As soon as you see there's a branching, it means they are connected in parallel combination. So if they are connected in series, Maimuna, you tell me what will be the resultant for these two? For R1 and R2. Yes, Maimuna, answer. If two resistors are connected in series. Yes, Maimuna.
R1 is equal to R2.
Equivalent resistance, series and parallel combination we have done. That one. If you have two vectors, Maimuna, R1, R2, they are connected in series. What will be their answer? We have studied this, remember? You've not revised it. You didn't study, Maimuna. See, check in your notes. If you have series combination, you simply add it. Remember, we did R equivalent as R1 plus R2. So here R12 will be equal to 10 plus 20, which is equal to 30 ohms. Similarly, these two are also connected. So 2 and 3 and 4 will be equal to 20 plus 40 equal to 60 ohms. Now further 60 ohms and 30 ohms, they are connected in parallel. So how do you solve parallel? 1 by R equivalent. Remember, you have to revise, otherwise you'll not understand anything in the class. And even if you're understanding, you'll not be able to solve a single question. So you need to practice. This becomes 2 plus 1 by 60. That is 3 by 60. So R equivalent is equal to 20. Write it down, understand it, and wherever you are having doubts, then you can ask me. Start writing from here.